If you were starting from scratch today, let's say with $1 million, how would you do it?
Well, I think that the anomalies would be of deep interest. So these are, these weird special situations and such, because we could go into a lot of nooks and crannies that we can't go into with the funds. I could even do some of it with long-term options and such. So I think that the focus would almost completely be on these special situation anomalies and kind of take it from there, because we'd be putting like $100,000 to work on a given idea. And if you're going to put 100,000 to work, there's a huge universe of opportunities to look at, because almost anything is a possibility. So that's what I would do.
So basically, take advantage of the small size to do things that bigger funds cannot do.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about investing is, and I think Joel Greenblatt had pointed this out, he said that if you are a really good investor and you're starting out and you have a very small amount of capital and you do very well. So let's say you start with $100,000 or $1 million. Well, if you're exceptional at what you do, what will happen is that that million is going to grow to 10 million or 100 million or a billion. The very tiny stuff that you were doing when you started, in a few years or maybe a decade, you won't be able to do it anymore because it just would make no sense for you. So you would have to leave those, what I would call fertile pastures, to find larger, not so fertile pastures, which still have some good yield. But what ends up happening is that you open up that white space for a new young person coming in with 100,000 or $1 million. So basically, in effect, what's happening is the very low end of the market has this constant exodus taking place of the best players. So the ones who are extremely good at it have no choice but to leave that space. So it's kind of an evergreen situation where that kind of batch graduates, and then those opportunity sets are available for the next batch, and then that next batch graduates and it's available for the next batch after that. So it's kind of evergreen from that perspective, in the sense that if you are looking in these nooks and crannies, there is a lot of opportunity because the guys who are really good at it have already moved on. They had no choice but to move.
That's a great dynamic, and I think provides opportunity for new investors coming up.
Absolutely. I mean, it just makes the business very exciting. And this is also an interesting business where the little guy has a big advantage over the big guy. The little guy has a huge advantage.
Yeah, and I think sometimes there's a misconception around that. A lot of folks think, well, the big firms, they can move markets and they got all these resources, but actually, there's a lot of opportunities they can't even look at because they're so big.
I have a friend of mine who runs a small fund, and he's extremely good at options. I mean, he studies his businesses really well, and then he finds the ones which kind of lend themselves to these different option bets. And, he's consistently been over 50% a year. But his total capital under management is small. I mean, it's grown a lot, but it's still relatively small. And he was doing this on student loan float, like Lilu, a while back. And now he's past that and he has a small fund. But the thing is that he will have to leave those pastures, in the sense that, the capital will just get too large. And it won't be that long. It might be a year or two. And he's got to go, you know, play somewhat differently. But he's enjoying it now. And so then those pastures will get left to the next guy.